because I had low self-worth. I would attract people that didn't respect me, but I felt like I was never chosen. And that like really manifested as I got older, this thing of like, something's wrong with me. People don't like me. I'm not chosen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when I was going through that, and that can happen in friendships where you feel like you're an outsider or you're a bit different, or it can happen when you're in a big group. I think that was like a really tough thing to have to work through, and it can come up now. And so if you are going through that where it's like, you know, you don't have the best friendships and you're not chosen, I just want you to know that there is always going to be people that care about you, love you, and there is better out there for you. There are people that would kill to be with you, to be your friend and to have your love and support. Hold a higher standard for yourself, because there are definitely people out there that care about you and want to be in your life for who you really are, as like your authentic self. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Consciously Thriving podcast.
Hello. Excited to be back.
Yeah, Shule and I had a big weekend.
We did, which is not really common for us.
Nah, we went out, drank, did the thing, and
it's taken us 5 days to recover.
Okay, relax.
Actually, though.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it's Tuesday. 3 days.
3 days.
Calm down.
Nah, I'm getting old now. I can't do it anymore.
No, 100%. No, I'm feeling it a little bit more. But
we don't do those things a lot. Like, we don't go out. We don't drink like we did. We did a lot then.
Yeah.
A lot of
Which I'm safe to say I'm glad that we don't, because I don't want to feel like shit every weekend.
Yeah, it does fuck your vibe.
It does, 100%. You got like when you got commitments and work to do. Luckily, it was like the long weekend in Australia, well, Melbourne. So we had some time to recover.
Yeah, thankfully. So many people like our friends obviously follow the brands that we do, like, you know, that we have online. Yeah. And they were like, "Oh my God, just didn't think that you guys would like drink and go out all out like this." And we were just like, hee hee. Yeah, honestly. No, I don't know. I've always been that type of person though, to like have a good time and party.
Yeah, of course. Love it.
I love it.
Same.
I'm all about it. I'm like, nah, but not like, it's like I'm all about it. And
no, you know how to have a good time, but then also like, you know,
let's have a break.
Because alcohol is obviously doing that a lot.
Literally, like I'll like be like, okay, I'm good for months now.
Yeah.
I don't understand people that do it like every fucking weekend. I'm like, what?
Yeah, how do they drink and get like drunk every single weekend?
That's cooked.
Surely, like because they're constantly feeling it the next day. You wouldn't be feeling your best.
You just wouldn't be.
No.
Like, it's taken us so long to like.
Well, that's because we don't do it that much.
Yeah, that's true.
Like maybe, I still feel like you'd feel like shit. I'm sorry.
I feel like fucking shit.
I'm just not willing to do that to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really After the night that you just had.
Yeah.
I'm
it's like fun, but like I think the repercussions of that
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway. When you're high on life.
Oh my God.
That was really lame.
That was so lame. That gave me the ick.
That gave you
when
the
you're
ick.
High on life and the fingers. Or if you're listening on the podcast, you did these like finger things. I don't know what just happened.
Me either. Different people. Okay. No, honestly, I'm really excited for today's episode. It's a deep one considering the state we're in.
It is.
Hangover.
It is. But we cannot be hungover 3 days after an event like that. That's so
dramatic.
funny.
No, I think mine's more just tired.
Yeah. And also, like, you know when you get off a long weekend, because we just had a long weekend here.
And then you go back to work and it's like...
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. Because I feel like my whole routine was out of whack.
Yeah, I get that.
You kind of just like, I don't know.
It throws you off a little bit.
It does.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I'm actually excited for this topic because it's something that came up a bit while we were out, actually. And it's kind of inspired this conversation today, which is all about friendships changing as you have your like spiritual awakening journey. Lots of friendships die off. Lots of friendships evolve and change because you change so much and your preferences and your standard changes so much. And there's just so much to navigate in that, and not only in like friendships, but also like family relationships as well. That's like one of the biggest things I know I work on with clients is that. Yeah,
which is surprising. It actually is. It's like the relationships and the people you have in your life. Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah.
While kind of changing your perspective on things, how you see the world. It can be really overwhelming.
Yeah,
I was overwhelmed when I went through it.
It is overwhelming because you feel like it's like an identity crisis. You feel really alone. Like, I guess let's go like all the way back to the start, because I had my spiritual awakening before Nadia did.
Yeah.
So I was going through my spiritual awakening alone. It was in the vid times, COVID.
Yeah.
So I was literally having this awakening completely alone, learning about all these new things about myself. And I remember, like, whenever I would talk to you, you were actually going through like the peak of like your health anxiety, and you were in grief because
my own insecurities as well.
You were just that, like, an older version.
Yeah, I was an older version of myself.
And I just remember when I had my awakening, like, I couldn't relate to you. I had no one to relate to. I couldn't relate to you. I couldn't relate to Daniel. Which is my partner. Like, I couldn't relate to anyone.
So, like, in what way? Like, so people can, like, actually understand how that feels. Just, like, in our conversations, I feel like for you, it was like you were discovering a completely new realm of life. So it was, like, beyond just, like, the conversations and things. It's like you actually were just, like, realizing the way we live our life is so insane. It's like there was like a whole new world you had discovered, and like that can really separate you because you're just like not even, do you know what I mean? Like not just the conversations, but just like I don't have anyone to talk to about this.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. It was like my interests were in this world of manifestation energy. I felt like I was learning about this side of the universe that I had no idea about. And then you'd go into normal conversations, and then everyone, like, for example, like you would be talking about like just things that felt so like not important to me anymore. And I'm just like, brother, like, I'm 100%. Like, fuck, like even with Dan, like nobody understood. And then there was also fear for me as well. There was fear of fully letting you guys in to knowing everything that I was tapping into, because for me, I felt like I was going crazy. I went from being an atheist to like going into this world. So here I am, like connecting to aliens, reading energy, learning about manifestation. And I felt like a fucking freak. Like I felt like I was losing my mind.
I actually like, so there was that. And then I remember the first time you were telling me what was happening. You were at my house and you just started crying. Do you remember?
Yeah.
What were you feeling?
It was about aliens and stuff, right? I was like, oh, maybe just spirituality in general. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was spirituality in general. And I remember you were just there and I was like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Like, you were like, I need to tell you something, blah, blah, blah. And were you like building up courage to tell me? Like,
yeah, because I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, like, once I tell you, because you also hear online. So I'm learning from people who've had their spiritual awakening journeys, and they tell you that the people in your life, like, they don't understand it. They'll think you're weird, and then they'll leave you. So they're the stories I was hearing from other people. I can get that,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's
like
happened
common
to some
with
people.
Like when people, turn religious or something like that. Like we have these misconceptions of them, and we judge them.
Exactly. So I'm preparing for that reality, and I'm about, like, in my mind, I think I have the potentiality of losing the two most important people in my life. But then also simultaneously, I will say I was prepared to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because 100%. I was like, I don't know, at that point, I had this like I can't unknow what I know. I can't be different to who this version is. Yeah. So I just knew I had no choice. Well, fair enough.
Like if anyone was going to leave you because of that, then good riddance to them, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think I was really lucky in, obviously, you and Dan, particularly in you, I think.
Yeah, I think like, I can't remember how Dan was, but I just remember when you cried, I was just like, never in my life do I want you to ever feel that you're weird. Like, do you know what I mean?
You really do have that like beautiful quality of being able to like see.
I don't feel like I judge a whole lot, like in that aspect.
No,
like,
you don't. Yeah.
Well, and I think like
maybe it's when you care about someone.
Yeah, like it's when I care. Like I try, obviously, like I work on any aspect of me that judges, but I just, from my perspective, I remember when you telling me, not one part of me was like, you're weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's Shule. Like to me, like it's like. You are who you are, and I didn't see you as something different.
And you have to think about this, guys. Like, I was coming into this, and I was telling her about aliens. I'm saying I'm connecting to aliens. And
I don't think you said that right at the start. Oh, maybe you did.
Not right.
You just said
right at the start, before you were even in this world.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
You're like, welcome to this world.
No, it's just funny, like the things that I was saying, and I could tell she didn't understand. She was like, "That's okay, I don't get it, but I'm happy for you," like type of vibe. But
I just remembered not wanting you to like cry and feel.
Yeah.
I just didn't want you to feel like that. I was like, no, not at all.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. I'm getting emotional.
No,
why am I getting emotional?
Yeah, why are you getting emotional?
Oh my God.
You're hungover.
I'm fucking hungover. No, I'm getting emotional because it's really nice to have a friend like that.
Yeah, I think so. But I just remembered. For me, I would be willing to lose a friend over that. That's how I felt. Like, no way. And we were so close.
Yeah. I don't know if like prior to my spiritual awakening, oh my God, I don't know why I'm crying. Prior to my spiritual awakening, I don't know if I would have been the same had the roles been reversed. I think I would have been pretty judgmental with that old version of me.
Yeah, but I don't know if you would have been willing to lose me because we were pretty close at that point.
That's true.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like, I would never want you to think because you're spiritual or you can, if anything, I was just like, oh, cool. Let's like, do you know, I'm telling you wouldn't.
But yeah, it was like, the reason I'm getting emotional because it's like she then started researching about it.
Did I?
Yeah, you then started like learning about it yourself so that you could like understand and relate to me. Like that's pretty rare to find. Like who does that? Like you literally went out of your way, and I. But it's also in my
like astrology. So like I am one of those people that I feel like the people in my life, it's like I will come along and like be there for the adventure because the big quality, like one of my things is, even my love language is quality time.
Yeah.
So it's like if I really love you and I care about you, I will be willing to try things that you do.
That's true.
It is.
Even Dan, actually, now that I think about it,
Dan is very much like that.
Yeah, he didn't understand it. He's like, I don't understand it, but like he would do small things like he'd be like, you do you, I got like, you know, like that doesn't change us, like type of vibe. But then he will do small things like he bought me my first tarot deck.
Anthony the same when I got into it as well. It's I'm telling you, it's because you love someone.
Yeah, that's like you would like do.
Yeah, like even the boys, like Anthony would. He didn't, like, if you think about it, they had no idea what manifestation was and everything, but they adapted and they like tried and like even they started using the language and things like that.
Yeah.
And you do it when you really love someone.
Literally. Even like, and you don't realize like how influential you are over them, even when you think that they're not listening. Like yesterday, randomly Daniel just calls out 444.
Yeah. That's so cute.
And I was just like, what the fuck?
No, literally. It
was so funny. But anyway, so that was like my experience going into it. I was like just, finding myself, whatever. And then at that point, that's when you then obviously started going into the world through me. Because then
I just started, I realized I had a lot of anxiety and things like that. So I started with I didn't start with aliens or anything like that. But I definitely started with like the breath work and the meditation because I was having a lot of health anxiety. My grandma was passing literally at the same time I was going through like my grandma passing away from cancer. So I was like facing death at that point. And I think it was like all very synchronistic.
It was. Yeah. You came into that world at such a synchronistic point.
But I still wasn't like, I wasn't into like shadow work and ego and things like that. But I was like, you ease yourself into it.
Yeah.
I still had a lot of work to do, but I was like opening up.
Yeah. You were opening up. And just learning about energy and our thoughts and our nervous system, all of the things. Yeah. So then you start, like, then we both, like, start basically getting into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you did a lot of programs.
Yeah. So I started to connect to a lot of people through the programs that I was doing online. And I started to make new friends in that sense. Like I had a lot of spiritual friends.
That was really important.
Yeah.
To have.
I needed that because I didn't have anyone at that, you know, for a while.
100%.
Even when you were getting into it, you're still fairly new.
It's different languages. Yeah.
Exactly. So I needed other people to talk to so I didn't feel like I was going crazy, and you just need that like relatability.
You do.
I had that.
I remember trying to feel and trying to learn it, but I couldn't understand it. And I was like, I just wanted you to relate. I was scared of losing our friendship as well because I think I saw you connecting to these people and I'm like, they're going to know her. Like they're going to feel like she's going to feel like they're connecting to her deeper and there's like nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
Yeah,
I had that feeling when you first went off to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were in corporate.
Right.
And you would go out all the time.
That's what happens when you love someone.
Yeah. I used to be like, I would have to like prepare myself. I'd be like, all right.
Oh, like never. But
Yeah.
No, it was. So
I get that. Yeah, I get that feeling. I had that feeling too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like also I'm so grateful you had those people because I wasn't ready. Like I wasn't up to it. Like I couldn't relate. So it's like.
And I think it was kind of good to go off on it like separately.
Be independent. Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think for me, one of my biggest things it happened for a reason, because for me, when I first went into my spiritual awakening journey, I had to learn to trust myself and to have my own discernment, which I didn't have. So it's hard, like, thinking back to this version of
this, you go through everything on your own.
Who the fuck was that person? Like, it's so different to who I am now.
We did codepend on each other a little bit.
I was much more codependent, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I, like, needed everyone's advice in order to make decisions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you needed to do this.
Do you know what I mean? So this, like, to do this on my own was such a gift in that sense. Yeah. But then, obviously had so much fun when we're so lucky to have each other in this experience. But when your life is changing that dramatically, because with the spiritual awakening, it's a complete identity shift, as you know, right? As you're going through it as well as you've been through it. And
we will go into more, like, if you are listening, we also didn't have this experience with everyone else in our lives. So, you know, if you've had a hard time, then, you know, we do have a lot of advice to share, but, like, we're just sharing the first part of this story.
Yeah, the first part. I don't know why I started from the start. I'm like,
no, it's important to. Yeah. Because it's, like, paints a picture. Yeah. For people. Yeah.
Okay. So, for me, I would say with my friendships, so obviously I had you, which was, like, that was the friendship I was most scared of losing. Yeah. But I feel like I was so, like, lucky and gifted in the way that you kind of, like, evolved with me. And then you kind of came on this journey, which was such a beautiful gift. The other relationship that, like, while I said, you know, this person adapted and still continues to adapt to me and, like, mold, you know, to, like he grows with me is Daniel. That was another relationship that I was, like, really afraid of losing. And I would say that we were more, like, on... Like, there was more...
you had a lot more to work through together.
Yeah.
You went through you had very, like, in peaks and troughs of your relationship.
We did.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, like, being willing to, like, let go and being without him.
But also going through the pain of, like, having to be, like, I'm so different from him. And you guys were very disconnected for a while. Well, you felt disconnected.
We were very disconnected. Yeah. He even knows that. Yeah. Because he was going through his own thing while I was
out all the time without you. Like, you were always, like, you were just wanting to be on your own. It was like...
I wanted to be, And I like, appreciate that time. I needed to be on my own. I think that, like, when you've been in such a long-term relationship and you're, like, in each other's faces, like, it's just... It's important. It's nice to have, like, that space to kind of be with yourself. I even think now, like, when I just think it's so important to cultivate alone time.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But there was, like, a point in our relationship where we were very disconnected. I remember this, like, there was one point where we were at the foresty area near my house, and we just, like, had this discussion of, like, we weren't meshing well, and it was because of me, to be honest. Yeah. It's because of and this is, like, what I want to talk about in regards to relationships, and this is what ended up happening in a lot of my other relationships that weren't you, because you kind of got on board and you were, like, you know, feeding into it.
Whereas what do you do when they're not getting on board, and how do you treat that?
Yeah. Exactly. So here I am having this spiritual awakening. I was still very ego focused, and yet there were, like, you know, people in my life that I was looking at, like my mom and my sister and Daniel, and they would still be entertaining lack and limitation. And then I looked at that as a reflection of me and how that's going to impact my life and keep us in lack and limitation. I really didn't see, like, it's like I was putting blame on these people around me.
Well, it was kind of like you pedestaled yourself as, like, I'm better than them. I'm
better than you.
We've had episodes of this. We've done a lot of speaks about this, but that's what can happen when you get into this world. You literally can convince yourself, like, you're better than people, you don't want to entertain that, blah blah blah, and you push people away.
Literally. Yeah. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Like, I ended up pushing them away, and it, like, really drove a wedge in between me and Daniel's relationship, because he was, like, imagine like somebody trying to force a belief onto you.
Yeah.
And he's like,
literally.
just fuck off. Like, you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
And it just felt like both of us weren't being heard.
Yeah.
And then there was this like aspect of me like looking down on him.
And being like, also when you get into that state, when you're in a long-term relationship, I know this happened with Anthony as well, you start wondering like, what would it be if I was with a person that was more spiritual, more like whatever ego wants to use, more self-aware, more this. And like, whilst those aspects can come true, like, whilst those things can have truth behind them, like you can be in a relationship where, you know, there's more aligned people for you, but it's not going to come from that energy. So it was like, there was a lot of looking down and
a lot of looking down, a lot of ego, and that really put a wedge in our relationship. And I also did that with like my family as well. And it was like every single time I would hang out with like my family, I'd be anxious. I'd be on edge. Did you ever feel that with your family?
Absolutely.
Like literally, I'm like not wanting them to come. Like I'm like, what am I putting in my subconscious?
Like, I think it's also, there was that aspect, but then there was also I just want to give ourselves ease and grace, because when you do go through this awakening where you're learning and you're growing and developing, there can be a big like I'm better than you thing, but also you are actually changing so much as a person that you can feel a little bit different and like an outsider to the people around you. So it's like it's normal as well to feel that. So I think there was a level of anxiety because I just felt like, oh my God, there's this whole world that you're discovering, blah blah blah. But you just need to be able to understand the difference between that and then like actually
it's true. It is important to note that it is overwhelming.
It is
when you're
like wow, it's like if you just fucking,
even when you've woken up to like the illusion of it all,
even when you have breakthroughs and things like that, it's just like wow, you want like the people to know, and if they don't like understand it and get it and things like that, you can feel separated. And you can feel a bit different.
It feels like it does. It really does. And it is scary because it's the people who have been so consistent in your life. I feel like outside of that, though, that they were the people that I was probably most controlling with. But outside of that, you know, the friendships that I had, I felt like I feel like I've always been pretty, like the type of person that's been like pretty malleable with my friendships. Like in that I really understand that friendships change and evolve and
you've
grow.
been pretty good with that.
I don't really hold on. Like
I didn't feel attached to.
I don't feel attached to people. Like the only people that I felt attached to were you and Daniel, and that's why it happened the way that it did. But everyone else, it's like I value them and I love them so much, and they're such important people in my life. But I do understand growth, and I think I've had so much of that growing up. that I've had friendships evolve and I've had people change that I'm just like I'm. Cool,
and I think like the level on your relationship, like how open were you to your other friends? Like how much of your life did you already give them? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a difference between like, I feel like you have some friendships where like, you know, you share so much of your life. They know you so deeply. And then there are friendships where it's like, you love them, you'll catch up and things like that, but you don't fully like, you're not so deeply with them. And I feel like that when it's that relationship, it doesn't feel like as hard to lose.
That's true.
It's like it's hard and you love them and that's sad, but it's like, you know, I don't know.
I know what you mean.
You're not as deep with them, so it's like,
it's like there is depth, but it's just not as much.
The same, as much. And that's normal. You're not going to be fucking close with every single person in your life.
And I think maybe I just had a lot of friends like that. Like I have a lot of friends that it's like we're like.
Well, when you have such a close relationship like ours, and this is something we do get reflected a lot about our relationship. Like it is very, very deep and we are very close. And we have such a deep connection that I think like you're not going to have that with everyone.
Kind of not seeking it, right? Yeah,
you're not going to have that with everyone in your life. And I think like as you get older, you realize you don't want that either, because it's like it's a lot to give of yourself to people. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So normal to have, you know, maybe a few close friends, and then like more like not even acquaintances, but you just don't give yourself as much. Like imagine giving yourself as much to every single person.
Literally.
It's exhausting. Yeah.
It is. You can't like, it's a lot of effort. It's like having
relationships look different.
It's like having a partner.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Seriously, like fuck, those people that have thruples, absolutely amazing.
No,
like it's some work.
We have a relationship that's like a partnership just without sex. So where's the benefit? I'm joking.
I know.
I'm joking. No, it's serious. It's true. It's a lot of effort. So I think that's why when my friendships did change when I had my spiritual awakening, they have evolved, and I've kind of just like been cool with it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's not been, I don't know.
You just had to learn to not project onto them.
I had to, that's exactly
see them
right.
in their light and just like have love and just see them for what they are.
I think the thing that I had to work on most when it came, like the hardest thing for me was like disempowering people who were in lack, who were really struggling. I really did see them in that way. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, that's, you know, it's almost like there was this hierarchy, right? Yeah. It was like, I don't want to hang out with you because you're like this. Or you drop my energy and things like that. And you probably the drop your energy, that was such a big blame one. You blame putting blame onto everyone else. What the fuck is that about, bro?
What was that? Ego.
Literally ego. Yeah. Anyway, why don't you take the show? I don't know where I was going.
No, I think it's like good because we had very different experiences. Yeah. Whereas yours felt like more like you were willing to let the friendship fade and things like that. And like the people in your life weren't actually doing anything. They were just a little bit different. Yeah. And
just like going through different things.
Just going through different things. Whereas me,
you experienced.
I had a more of a, would you say harsher?
Yeah.
A more harsher experience where I had a really good experience, obviously, with Shule. Like, you know what? In saying that, like, there's polarity, right? Because I did have a really good experience where actually our friendship grew. Yeah. And my relationship with Anthony grew. Although, again, we've gone through so much and we are evolving and...
You guys had to do a lot of work as well.
We still are. Like, we still are.
As
like,
we all are.
Yeah, we all are. We're still going through that. But for me, I was more going through lessons and, like, well... going through revealing of like the type of people I had in my life because mine wasn't really so much a situation of, you know, people just had different opinions. Like I actually had friendships that weren't very nice.
Pretty gross people.
Yeah, pretty shitty friends. And like I was never put first. Just even like comments about what I did. Yeah. And like if we're being truthful, I didn't have a lot of support in my life. Like I
can get like deep, like can you be a bit more specific?
Yeah, I don't want to say like names or anything obviously like that. Yeah. I did have like the hardest thing I did have friendships that fell off for sure. And I did have like a really like close group when I used to do work at my old job. I had what the hardest thing, I'm going to not cry. What the hardest thing is, I think my friendships fell off because people thought I was weird and different. Yes. That's what it was. That's been the hardest thing.
Do you have like examples of what was like said to you? And-
yeah. So I remember like comments like, you know, be really careful. But I did get comments like, oh, if, you know, why do I not have like 2 Instagram accounts? Because like what I'm saying is really annoying. And like people that are already in my life, they don't want to fucking hear what I have to say. Like comments like that. And then I would very much, there were comments to my face and like I would be in group settings, even like with family and things like that. And like there were smart ass comments made about me and like what I was doing, which made it my resilient. Like that really tested my resilience. But I also just had more, the hurt really came from, like there were comments to my face, but I just knew that maybe like 90% of the people in my life would be saying something behind my back.
Which is pretty shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including like family and stuff like that. Like 100% they're thinking I'm weird. Yeah. Like what the fuck am I doing? And like, look, I can look back at that and go, not so much now, actually. The more I've like grounded myself, the more, and I did have like cousins and stuff who really like asked me about it and like, you know what I mean? Even though it's a little bit different, they do. So that was beautiful. But I did have like a group of friends from like my old job. And there was like a couple that I was like really close with. The minute I got into this space, I felt the distance and I felt them thinking judgment. I was weird. The judgment.
Yeah.
The judgment.
You really did get a lot of judgment.
A lot of projection and judgment. But yeah, so that was like really, really tough to navigate. So I got those like sort of comments and like when you're already so vulnerable, when you're already like, and this is something
putting yourself out there,
doing something a little bit different. Like there was such a long period of time where I could not go without posting, without thinking like, what the fuck am I saying? I would block people from like a list of people. I reckon I used to have like 12, 13 people that I know were going to judge me, but I didn't want to like face that. Like I would feel so uncomfortable just being myself and I would block.
Yeah, that's I would block shit.
Yeah, so that was like really tough. So I feel like, I would have like a lot of like smart ass comments and things like that. But I also simultaneously know that there's people that have that experience and they don't actually have anyone else.
Yeah,
which can be really, really tough. Yeah, but it's like I felt like when I was going through this, I felt like I was getting punished so hard from the universe. I was like, you fucking cunt. No, excuse my language. I remember being no, because it was this thing of like, who are you going to allow in your life? What are you actually going, like, that's what I was going through. It was like, what are you willing to put up with? And I was like, this is everyone.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It was everyone for you. And there were like actual, like, not only were you getting mistreated in that way and getting judged, because I'm just thinking now, I'm like relating back to like my friend group, and I'm like, I actually didn't get any.
No, you didn't.
Everyone was so supportive. Everyone was like, I'm so proud of you, I'm so happy for you, I'm so happy you found yourself.
But that's because of the standard of people you had in your life. And like, I wasn't really that person that had a lot of like high standards for myself and who I am now. And I think
that was clear in the people that we allowed in.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, and like, again, like take this back to the energy in which we're talking about. Like, what did I say? I said I was afraid. I wasn't afraid to lose people. I wasn't afraid for friendships to grow and evolve. Whereas for you, there has been an aspect of like holding on to people.
Holding on, because I think it's like when you have low self-worth, you kind of do a little bit, like you hold on to, or like you justify people's behaviors, and I also like was navigating this period of time, like, is it me? Am I the problem? And like things like that.
And I think that's a thing, like that one of Nadia's biggest things that we always had to work through was like, she'd always be like, I'm the problem.
Yeah, something's wrong with me. And it still comes up sometimes like that. I'm just like, actually, it was so funny because we were out on Friday night. And like, that's something the girls were actually saying, like, we were just talking about like friendships and things like that, and a lot of them have gone through some hard times, as you do. Like, they like heading into their later 20s, and they were just like, one of the girls was just saying like, sometimes I wonder if I got the problem, but like it does, right? Like, it's like, but I just had such a low, that was my biggest lesson through that. Like, it was one of the biggest things aside from money. My biggest thing was like, who the hell are you going to welcome into your life? Because if I look back now to the peace I have and who I would welcome in and the quality of people, it is very, very different. Yeah. And like, it's like, it was hard, but I feel so much more at peace, and I'm like grateful that I went through that. Yeah. And I would never, ever, 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 ever drop my standard. Ever again.
Yeah, well, you definitely learnt the lesson, that's for sure. But like, just to give you specifics on what we mean by the quality of person she had in her life, like, she would realize, like, once you're having a spiritual awakening and you're like more aware of the people around you, she would meet up with certain friends, and then she'd realize that they were like talking about themselves. And like, not once have they asked a question about her, and she's like, what the
I actually felt like I had a lot of projection of, in some, not so much. I just feel like I look back and I was like, oh, I can see what that was. There was a bit of jealousy in some aspects, like with a couple that I look back at.
I see that.
There was just instances, and I think like a lot of I honestly just feel like not being just treated properly, like not being actually chosen by the person. Like, I would put in so much effort, and like when I was there, I would care and ask and like actually care, whereas I felt I didn't really get that back.
No, you didn't get the same effort that you put in.
Yeah. But it's been a big lesson in not, one, attaching to people, but mostly like, who would I be willing to like welcome into my life?
Yeah.
So
you kind of lost everyone at that point.
I did.
Like, literally everyone.
Yeah, I literally did.
So well, how did you do?
I wouldn't say everyone.
Most people.
I feel most.
Like a big chunk of your friendship group.
Yeah. How did I deal with it?
You're like, I didn't.
No, I feel like I did. I really, really did. I think for the first time I actually felt peace. I'm not going to lie. It was really refreshing for a period of time.
Yeah.
So that was that. Like, it was like really tough because it was like refreshing to have that peace. And then I was like, I feel like I was getting such a standard for myself that it was like it was a polarity. I was like upset about like having to lose these friendships, but then also I feel like I was for the first time getting peace in my life, and our friendship was growing and things like that. But along the lines of that, I realized how much I'd closed my heart off. So there were so many things I've had to navigate through that, because it was like, I was like happy because I was like, I'm peaceful now. I know the people that are in my life, but I didn't realize for a good year and a half, I was like so scared to open up anyone, make any other friends. I was just like, I was like, I closed my heart off.
I get that.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can happen. Like, you literally, you just close your heart off a little bit.
Yeah. When you've been jaded, it just feels like
and I think like something I learned along the lines is like, I think like even in high school I had a pretty like big friendship group. And now it's just like as you get older you realize it's less about how many you have and like the quality of friends you have. But simultaneously, like as I'm saying this, I feel it's like that's true, but I don't want to close off my heart at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like I think I got traumatized from girls and being like close and, you know, bitching and all of that. Like I've been so scared to like, I feel like it just feels like through this, I got really comfortable in my own safe space.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, yeah.
Well, you, were a part of a lot of friendships, like even in high school, where like they would.
There's a lot of girls.
But like a lot of disgenuine friendships.
Yeah, a lot of I've had a lot of disgenuine friendships.
Yeah.
So with that has come with a lot of healing.
Yeah.
And trusting again. So it's like you go through that period of like that's what it was. It was like you learn your standard, you cut those people off, and it's like it's hard, but then you're just like it's going to be for the better. Like that's what I always, and I felt that. Like I can't say that like I was like it was like I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like it was hard to let go of like so many people, but then also
it was I know exactly what you mean.
You don't have to go to a friendship and have drama and feel like you don't want to see the person or
I hated that feeling.
Yeah, that's like the feeling I would always have. Like I'd catch up and I don't actually want to.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do that, and it was so forced. That's what it felt like. That feeling was very euphoric to me, just feeling like that freedom of
where
like,
you don't have to,
well, the people I would feel good. I'd be happy to do that. And then
just to feel like so safe in your relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
Feel safe. That's what I never had that feeling
of
safety in my relationships.
Yeah.
So now on this journey, for me, it's looking like a lot of like opening up my heart, welcoming people in whilst obviously honoring like the standard of people and things like that.
Yeah, and I think that comes with like a fine line, right? So something we were saying earlier is like what I was saying where I was putting myself on a pedestal and looking at people as like they were lack and like, you know, they were limiting and they're going to affect me and my level of consciousness and where I'm going and what I'm here to create. But I've completely shifted that now and I don't do that anymore. I'm just like if somebody isn't speaking my language, like if they're a good person and I love them, do you know what I mean? I'm just like I'm just gonna wish them love.
Well,
I'm
let them
always
live their own life.
Exactly, and I'm gonna raise the standard of like that doesn't mean I like allow for poor standards of conversations. I'm always raising the standard of conversations, but I like that's my responsibility to do. Right, I'm not gonna put that shit onto them.
100%.
And like I don't know, it's also this like willingness to allow friendships to change and evolve and to not have to cling on. I feel like that
helps.
It really does.
Got that.
It does. And it
does.
I think it just allows the friendship to be what it needs to be. Like I'm really not clinging in my friendships. I'm just like
just me.
I just trust. Literally.
No.
I just trust. I'm like I trust where the friendship goes. I trust
100%. It was actually funny because I was at a birthday a couple of weeks ago, and this was literally a conversation that one of the girls was saying. She's like, I don't care. Like if it goes, like if you don't want, you're not in my life, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think there can be like a bit of a, like you got to put in effort with your friendships and things like that. Yeah. So it goes both ways. But it was like, she was just literally like, she was saying that she doesn't talk to her maid of honor and stuff like that. Like they had a falling out. Well, whatever. And she was just like, I don't really care. But I'm like, it can.
There's a fine line.
Yeah, there's a fine line.
It's like not closing your heart off to people.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to friendships and spiritual awakenings. I think it's the judgment.
The judgment and the attachment, because I think people hold on for way too long sometimes. Because that's the two things you're always going to navigate, right? When are you holding on to something, and this is a normal, like even in a romantic relationship, when are you holding on to something that needs to be let go of?
Yeah.
Versus when are you actually contributing to the issues or the way you actually feel in the relationship? So they're going to be two.
Yeah, like what are you projecting onto the person? I know, for example, with we were talking about romantic partnerships and like how much we projected onto that relationship of like, I don't know, fantasizing about somebody who was more woke and blah, 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 blah. And like just taking responsibility to be like, okay, like this isn't coming from a genuine place. This is coming from fear and my own insecurities and my own shit. So it doesn't mean that you can't do that. It's like, just do your part first. Stop the judgment, stop the pedestaling, stop the all of that. Heal, stop projecting that onto the people around you, and then see how the relationships evolve, see how they change, and then go from there. When you're in your power, then you get like clear guidance on making a decision that's actually in your highest alignment. And every single time I've done that in my relationships, and I've like been like, okay, no, I'm the problem here for judging and for pedestaling and all of the things, I see that the relationship does evolve. Like people do.
Yeah, they do. Of course.
They shift, they meet your standard, they see your perspectives, they rise. Like it happens all the fucking time. And I'm like, wow, you don't realize how much of a part to play you have.
Yeah.
Was that English? That wasn't English.
You got that.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the biggest thing. I think there's just so much projection from spiritual people onto people who are not spiritual.
Yeah. 100%.
And like society and blah, blah, blah. But like, you know, we've done an episode, we speak about this all the time, but it's like the energy you do something from is what you're creating.
Yeah.
So that judgment frequency just adds to more separation and more lack and more limitation.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because I do want to talk about this, and I think like when I was going through like, because it was like, what was the toughest thing that I felt like during that period of time? I think like the biggest thing when I was like the kind of wasn't like a big cutoff, but like that most of them I kind of decided no more effort type of thing, and that's what it was. I think for me, like what was coming up the most was like I did go through a period of like, am I the problem? And I think like when I look back to like even in high school and things like that, a lot of the time I don't feel like I was very much like, because I had low self-worth, I would attract people that didn't respect me, but I felt like I was never chosen. And that like really manifested as I got older, this thing of like, something's wrong with me. People don't like me. I'm not chosen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when I was going through that, and that can happen in friendships where you feel like, you know, you're an outsider or you're a bit different, or it can happen when you're in a big group. I think there can be a lot of those feelings coming up. So it's like, that was like a really tough thing to have to work through. And it can come up now where it's like, something is wrong with me. And so if you are going through that where it's like, you know, you don't have the best friendships and you're not chosen, I just want you to know that like, it is a reflection on yourself, and there is always going to be people that care about you, love you, and there is better out there for you. There are people that would kill to be with you, to be your friend and to have your love and support. And like that was the biggest thing. Is like, I'm actually a really good person. I'm actually like a very like I am a good friend, and I am a caring person, and I would go above and beyond. Like I've been in a relationship with Anthony for like 12 years, and you've been a long time. Not once have I gone through a period where it's like I chose my boyfriend and I didn't give a fuck about my friends, and like that's fine. Sometimes you go through that when you first get with someone, but I have always been that person that doesn't just care about like my partner. Like I actually care about the people in my life. So if you are going through something like that, just know, hold a higher standard for yourself, because there are definitely people out there that care about you and want to be in your life for who you really are, as like your authentic self.
So do you have like any advice on holding the standard when it feels like you just aren't meeting anyone?
I think you have to feel when you're not meeting anyone.
You know what I mean? Like, you know how even like I think a while ago kind of this happened to you where you were just like, I just feel like I don't have like
like when you're actually in it. Well, I think that's when the work is, right? It's not going to be like true. that's when I did it, like during those periods where I actually did feel alone. And some people might not even have anyone, but when you do feel alone, I think, see, this is where it gets hard because I've always had you as well. But in saying that, putting that aside, I feel like
you put in effort though to meet people.
Not for a long period of time. I got really lazy.
Yeah.
Good solid 2 years.
But when you were ready.
When I was ready, I put in effort. I absolutely put in effort.
Like you put yourself out in groups.
Oh, right. Yeah. And there were like, I would put myself out there. And I actually did meet a lot of people. But then what would happen is like, didn't feel like a deep connection or it was just like that. So again, that comes back down to this thing. Like you might go through this period of like opening your heart, you meet new people and things like that. But it's like you have to learn to also detach from that. Like don't make it like a thing type of thing. So it was like I kind of went through that period of like, I'm going to open up my heart again. I'm going to know my worth, and you welcome these people in. And some people are going to be for you and some are not. And like just going through life and just being willing to meet people and just like what you've been saying this whole time, doing that. But like if you are going through this period where you feel like, am I the problem, or you're like healing from this and you don't have anyone in your life or whatever that looks like for you, you have to be able to feel those feelings of feeling like something's wrong with you, because there's no way through it. Like if I didn't actually feel my feelings and feel those emotions and move through them properly, I wouldn't have the confidence I have within myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost, you just have to let go of that part of you.
Yeah.
Be willing to let go of the story.
Being willing to let go of the story, being willing to let go of ego aspects of like, needing a lot of people in your life as well.
Yeah.
Like that was like, I guess that was all I was familiar with. Even like growing up in like a woke household. Like I have a big family. I had a lot of people always. So it was like there was layers to it, like letting go of all of that.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think that's true. That's like the best advice. If there's this like need for like people, then it's like, okay, where is that coming from? And can I be willing to feel it and let this go?
Yeah.
And
I feel like
it's what you need.
For me, it was like I was trying. There was an aspect of me that always, before my spiritual awakening, especially, but needed people to make me feel a certain way. That's what it was.
Yeah, make you feel chosen. Make you feel special.
So I had to go through that journey of feeling like I'm chosen for myself.
Choosing yourself. Yeah. I think that was a good journey.
Yeah. And I think like it kind of reminds me of like, I've never really gone through a serious breakup.
Yeah.
But and I'm not going to say that I can compare, but it does feel like that. It feels like you go through a breakup and you go through the waves and the emotions, and then you're ready to kind of like date again. And it's
true. It's similar.
It is, but and then you learn to open up your heart again. So when people feel like they're closed off to relationships and like there's just so much hurt there, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I get it. But like the most beautiful thing is being willing to just not need anyone. So be so grateful in the people you have in your life and simultaneously be open to that, non-attached. There is so many aspects to it.
Literally.
Like think about that.
Literally.
Like you have to be willing, like this journey is crazy. Like you have to be willing to open up your heart, let go of the trauma, let go of the hurt, know that you're worth beautiful people, but simultaneously don't be attached to them and let things unfold how they need to. So it's like
it's true.
so deep.
It is so deep. But it's so freeing to live your life like that.
Yeah.
Like from an open heart.
I also think like something that helped me. So for a period of time, I wasn't letting go of a lot of the friendships. Like even when I was in the spiritual world, I would still like entertain them, hang out, do those things. And someone, I think it was Manifestation Babe, I would listen to her and she had a lot of codes on like what she went through. She went through a lot. She didn't have a part. She actually went through it by herself. Like fully, that was someone who fully turned their life around with no one. She didn't even know Brennan at that time. Yeah. And I remember listening to her, and I listened to people that would inspire me. And I remember like, because she was just like, I'm gonna, like she left her partner, all of it, right? And I remember thinking like, if this girl can fucking go through that, I'm not putting up with the shit that I'm putting up with in my, like it was like when your standards being reflected to you, that was a big driving factor. So that helped at the time as well. What the fuck
am I doing? Yeah,
having what am I doing? Why am I putting up with this?
Having anchor points is so valuable.
Yeah. So
like people that create podcasts and shit like that on this, like if you're feeling called to create a platform because you have something important to share, like
just share it
because
you end up on TikTok.
You literally end up being such an anchor for people and such a motivator for people to create change in their lives.
Yeah.
Like people need you.
Yeah. And I was just like, I remember listening to her and I think I had an epiphany one day when I was listening to her and I was like, I'll lose it all. I don't care. I need to be happy and I need to like, I'll fucking go like.
That was the epiphany I had. I was like, I'm willing to lose it all.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to lose it.
Literally like those people that like pick up their life and go overseas and just start from scratch. Yeah. That's like really an extreme situation. But like,
that's true.
But willing to actually do what's because it was what was good for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, like, letting go of these friendships and learning to be not attached and needing all these people in my life, and just learning what it is to have good people in my life, even if that meant for a period of time, or how it honestly, do you know what it felt like? It felt like I don't care if I have no one ever. I would rather be alone than have shitty people.
I agree.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I would rather not be in a toxic relationship, and I'd rather be alone than be in a shitty one. And that's what I'll say to my hands on my heart till I die.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Amen to that, sis. But
Amen
I reckon that's everything.
That's everything.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a little bit of a heart to heart. So you know a little bit
heart-to-heart.
about our journey and what we've navigated.
Yeah. And sending you love if you're currently navigating a similar situation. You've got this.
Yeah, sending you love.
It does look up.
Normal.
You do end up attracting. Like, now we have such beautiful friendships.
I feel like I'm still on my journey of like opening up my heart and things like that. I feel like I went through a period where I did, and then I closed it off again, because what would happen is I'd meet people, and then I don't know, like, I just felt I was attached. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I just too attached. Like, I could give you an example.
Yeah.
I remember there was like one new person I met, and I, like, you know, I'd met her and I was like, yeah, like, it was nice, but like, you know, I didn't know if we were gonna 1000% vibe and like stay in contact, and I was cool with that. I was like, yeah, no worries. Whereas when you like did that with somebody else, you were like, oh, it didn't work out. It wasn't what I thought, and like then you were like, got anxious about that. Like, what's the point?
Because I also was navigating, like, feeling like, am I something? Am I the problem? So it was like, is it me that just didn't feel connected, or am I like am I scared? Like, I honestly felt like, do you know what it felt like for me? It felt like maybe I'm scared because I'm unfamiliar, and like, that's the problem. Like, I just need to get more familiar. But now I'm a lot more confident with that. I'm like, I know, because I've met like people that I actually connect with, and I have things to compare to that I feel like I know now when I'm just like not fully vibing with someone, and also like understanding like every friendship's different.
Yeah. I think that's another thing, like understanding that, like, you have I don't know, every friendship's going to give you something different.
100%.
And like, not needing them to be everything.
Yeah, 100%. You know? And I didn't have that. Like, that's what I very much felt like. I would want all my friendships to be like the same.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
It was like,
it's like you expected like this quality
in every single person. Yeah. And that was like a big lesson, because I'm just like, you don't have to have that.
Yeah. But yeah, we're still on the journey. We're still going through the motions.
Yeah, we are. But honestly, love it.
Yeah, I think it's something that so many people go through, like friendship changes, and maybe people don't talk about it as much because, you know, people don't take friendships as seriously as relationships, but they're so important.
Yeah, I think everyone has different experiences. I think some people, like, they have friendships from like childhood, and they're beautiful and they grow together.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have friendships, some people just, I don't know, like you go through a lot. But I do feel like I'd say 90% of people, anyway, from what I can see and what I've think it makes sense. Like, you evolve and change as people, like that. You have you know, your friendships change and the dynamic changes and things like that.
They do.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it there, I reckon.
Did we? Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next episode. Hope you liked this episode, gave you some comfort, and just know you can always talk to us.
Yes. And don't forget to comment.
Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
We're still cooked, dude.
Yeah,
Look, I'm that.
Nah.
I need to eat now.
No, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Let us know how you liked the episode. DM us if you want to chat or you resonated with it. But we're going to go and
eat.
See you in the next episode.
Bye.